Like your Christmas lights, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. They're actually Jeffrey's lights because
Oh.
this was his music room that I had to turn into a second office. So there's guitars hanging on the wall because he doesn't have room for them in his apartment.
Very festive.
Mhm.
Good evening. Have we all made it here yet? I see this. Can you correct Miss Catano's name? Can you correct your own name, Miss Catano? It has two U's.
Oh, so I don't have only one?
It has two
Oh,
U's.
I see it here. I'm like, what?
And Scott's name too.
Rename. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Did you see, Mr. Miller, your name? Okay, thank you. So we are ready to start. Calling, right? We have everyone. Yes. This meeting, which is hereby called to order at 6:31 p.m., is in compliance with the notice requirements of the law. Public notice was posted in the office of the Board of Education and communicated to the municipal court and the Daily Record, as well as the Star Ledger on December the 5th of 2020. Due to the current public health emergency, this evening's meeting is being conducted as a virtual meeting. Instructions for accessing and participating in the virtual meeting were posted on the district website at dover-nj.org. Please join me in standing and saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could please remain standing. Dr. Sainer.
Could we please have a moment of silence for everyone in our Dover community suffering physically, mentally, financially, or spiritually from COVID, as well as the health professionals and first responders doing their best to keep us all safe. This week, we finally saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and we all need to wear masks, social distance, and visit virtually for just a while longer.
Thank you all. You may have a seat. Mr. Minkowicz, may you take attendance roll call, please?
Yes, Miss Catano.
Present.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Mullen.
Here.
Ms. Nutting.
Here.
Mr. Robles.
Here.
Ms. Ruiz.
Here.
Dr. Sainer.
Present.
Ms. Viveros.
Present.
Ms. Grisales.
Present. Ms. Nutting, please remind us of our focus as board members and for the community by reading our district's mission and vision statement, please.
My pleasure. Working together as a community, our mission is to welcome all and provide opportunities for all our students in a safe, accepting learning environment to become creative, empathetic, resilient, and choose to make an impact.
Thank you, Ms. Nutting. Dr. McLaughlin, could you introduce tonight's presenters to the board, please?
Sure. Well, actually, we have a CTE presentation, but before we do what we'd like to kind of begin, a little bit of a new tradition in our presentation section of the agenda, just to share out a little bit about what's happening in our classrooms. and to provide some examples of some student and teacher work. This past weekend, I shared with the board a number of items that our teachers had volunteered to put forward in terms of what their students were engaged with. I thank them for that. Want to make sure that all our teachers know that everything that was shared has been provided to the board. And of course, we have limited time at our meeting. So what I'd like to do is just for the sake of this meeting, share out 2 of the examples from our teachers. Cite a third one that's a little bit longer and that the board may want to look at their own, and I'll explain why we're highlighting that item. And then our hope is that perhaps beginning with our regular January meeting, that we might have 1 or 2 teachers actually join us in each meeting so that they could present that themselves. So this is kind of just a beginning and getting into that, and a little prelude before we have our featured CTE presentation tonight. So if we could share the first item, which is from Jessica Morantz, who is kindergarten at East Dover. So this is a video from Miss Morantz's kindergarten class. It was done for Thanksgiving. I'll let you see it on your own and we'll comment on it.
I don't know if that sound just came through. Did anybody hear that?
No.
Okay, so the sounds, let's see if I can do this.
You would have to, whoever's presenting has to be unmuted too.
Turkey wings out, you put your turkey wings in, and you shake them all about into the turkey pokey, and you turn yourself around, that's what it's all about. Turkey legs in, you put your turkey legs out, you put your turkey legs in, and you shake them all about into the turkey pokey, and you turn yourself around, that's what it's all about. Turkey pokey, gobble gobble, turkey pokey, gobble gobble, turkey pokey.
Okay, I think the reason we wanted to begin with that is to really show that even though we don't have children in front of us with paper and crayons and paint, we're still certainly able to celebrate our students' creativity. We're able to see that visible in a lesson and promote that and really, again, share out their talents at that young age in kindergarten, incorporating themes around holidays, using music, using visuals, tactiles, and really doing all those multisensory activities that go into a really great kindergarten class. On the whole other end of the spectrum, I wanted to just share a quick item that Mr. Schul provided from his math class at Dover High School. This one does not have audio with it, so this will be an easier share.
Hang on, didn't share the right screen. Let me try this again. Yeah, this is definitely a different flavor on this one. Oh, it did share it. I apologize, it's down there.
Okay, so here we have some of our students by name who in their calculus honors class, so we've gone from kindergarten to calculus honors, who were using Nearpod. Nearpod is a product that allows multisensory, interactive types of participation, even when students are in a remote setting. And so you can see here some of the work products from Maria and from Juan, and I know there's a couple underneath. Those of you who are calculus experts can check and see if they're doing this correctly. Here we have one using the quadratic formula in Algebra 2 honors, and another product, again, all of these using Nearpod. So using these technology tools that have been made available to our teachers and to our students. And we celebrate them for the hard work that they're putting in to their classes, whether they be at the elementary or at the high school level. The third product that we're not going to bring up because it's a fairly big file and the audio doesn't work so great with the sharing. But I do want to bring to your attention a folder that I shared from Ms. Paulson's English 3 class at the high school. And it's a project that was called Single Stories. The idea of the project was to show the impact and importance of stories that we tell and that are told to us. And students in this area were allowed to use any artistic medium to express themselves. And there is a composition and a performance by Alexis Pugh called Single Story, which is about her experience of growing up in America as a young woman from the Caribbean. I know that you will be very impressed when you hear her composition. It's really kind of, I'm just going to say it makes you pause to see the talent, the creativity, and the thought behind it that goes into what she shares in her musical composition. So I'd encourage you to see that. I know that Ms. Gaynor-Montanti, who's here with us tonight, is also planning to share some of that on social media. So you may catch that in that forum as well. So this is just a little bit of sharing about what we're doing, and we'd like to do that as part of our board meetings to focus on what we're all about, which is our students, about the learning process, and just really seeing the type of things that happen each and every day that are a result of your efforts as a board and our staff's efforts in terms of helping our students towards the growth that we know that they can make and the achievement that they can accomplish. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our assistant superintendent, who can introduce our presenters tonight.
Mr. Miller, before I start, did you have a question? I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I looked at the example with Nearpod, and of course I didn't know what it was, so I did research on it, and I just was amazed what a great software product that lets you do so much with you can evaluate students along the way, and they can also work at their own pace. So I just thought it was amazing, you know, but looking at the calculus brought chills back to my senses. So but the software was really cool.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I did share, if you'd like to see Alexis Pugh's artwork, it's a rap that she had written, and it's amazing. I did share it on Twitter, and my handle is @DHSBandTigers. So if you want to check it out, it's up there.
Thank you.
Okay, so the second presentation we have tonight is from Ms. Gaynor-Montanti and Ms. Heineman, and they are going to talk to us a little bit about our brand new CTE program, which the board had approved last month, and all of the benefits to our students for now this new partnership with CCM that we have. So I'm going to share my screen yet again, a lot of sharing tonight. And hopefully come right.
Sharing is caring, Miss Dallas.
Sharing is caring. That's right. And then Ms. Montanti and Ms. Heineman, when you need to switch slides, if I don't pick up on the cue, please just say, next slide, please. That might be the easiest thing.
Okay, great.
Board members, if I can interrupt you for a second, I'm sorry. Board members, if we can hold questions to the end, especially because I'm not going to be able to see everyone in one shot, and that would make it a little easier. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Janet Gaynor-Montanti, and I'm here with my colleague Gina Heineman to discuss with you our new CTE initiative at Dover High School. Okay, so first of all, CTE, like, what does that stand for? It's Career Technical Education. Next slide, please. So why do we need a CTE program at Dover High School? Next slide, please. because CTE prepares students for careers, not just jobs. Next slide. Okay, in a traditional VOTEC program, so I mean, that's probably what a lot of people think of. So what's the difference between VOTEC and CTE? In VOTEC, kids whose schools, if schools thought kids would not do well in college, those are really the kids that went to VOTEC. There was little academic rigor. Students would learn a trade that would prepare them for a job, but it was really more of a lower level job with little room for advancement. Next slide, please. The difference with CTE now is that it prepares our students for high paying and in-demand careers. It gives them the academic and technical skills that they need to succeed in college and in all types of high skill, high paying, and in-demand careers. Next slide. CTE focuses students on cutting edge technology, workplace skills, and real world learning opportunities. Kids don't just learn in the classroom, they actually get opportunities to see people working in that particular field, and they get a real hands-on experience for it. And they learn soft skills as well, not just the technical skills. Next slide, please. We also incorporate partnerships with colleges and employers. So the partnerships with colleges and universities, as well as employers, help students find clear pathways to success. Next slide, please. Okay. There are college credits and industry credentials that are earned. CTE students have a head start on success thanks to college credits and industry credentials earned through the programs. So, introducing the Dover High School Graphic Design CTE program. We're going to be initiating this for the September 2021 school year. Okay, so when we're talking about the high-paying and in-demand jobs, what I want you to see on this slide, this is from the New Jersey Department of Education. It's from their CTE program webpage. And you can see in the third column from the right, art directors is the first career listed. Then they give us the median state wage, which is $76,000 a year, and the median national wage, which is $83,000. The second one down.
Updates available.
Whoops, I was still talking on that one. The next one down, we have multimedia artists and animators with a state wage of $59,400 and a national wage of $64,500. Various other artists in different companies. State wage is $38,400, national wage $53,700. Graphic designers in state make about $47,200, but nationally about $64,200. And finally, they can also be on a path, if they choose, to be an art teacher at the secondary level. That, of course, they would have to continue with their college education, but they'd already have a 12-credit head start. So statewide, that's about $76,900 median wage, nationally $62,800. So we already have a partnership with the County College of Morris. Students in our CTE program will be taught classes that are currently taught by CCM teachers at CCM. In our program, the CCM teachers will co-teach with the Dover High School art teachers. Students will also earn CCM credit. Students who complete the program will earn 12 college credits that are guaranteed to be accepted at CCM should the students wish to continue their education there. Okay, so you need to have a clear progression of at least 3 classes. Our program is going to have 4 classes. Each class is 1 semester long, so students can finish the program in 2 years. In the first year, students will be taking Art 122, which is Drawing 1, where they'll learn the methods, materials, and visual information needed to draw what we see. So they'll learn about color theory, they'll learn the principles of art and design, all of the basic skills and technical skills that you need to be an artist. Art 130 will be the second class in year 1. Here they will expand on to 2-dimensional design. So they'll learn how to control and compose visual forces on a 2-dimensional plane. In year 2 is when they'll move on to the digital art aspect of the program. In Introduction to Computer Graphics, students will design using current vector-based illustration software. And in the last class of the program, Computer Graphics, students will learn the most current page layout and photo paint software to support the creation of 2-dimensional products. Another requirement by the state of New Jersey in order to get your CTE program approved is that you must have an advisory committee. We already have our advisory committee selected. We have stakeholders from all areas in the Dover school community. We have Dover administrators, we have CCM administrators, CTE teachers from CCM and also from Dover High School. We have a guidance counselor, a child study team representative, a parent representative, students, and also a local business leader. Our business leader is from the Kubert School, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, but it's an excellent art school right here in Dover, and they're being part of our advisory program. We've already had our first advisory committee meeting. That was on November 12th, and our next meeting is scheduled for January 14th. Okay, so to give you an overview of the benefits to our students, okay, this is available to a broad swath of students. This is not just for high achievers. If you have an interest in art and you are willing to work hard, you can be successful in this program. Students can earn 12 college credits while still in high school, so that's a huge benefit. If desired, students can enter the workforce upon high school graduation, as they will have passed an industry-recognized Adobe Visual Communication Assessment using Adobe Photoshop. And in addition to that, they will have earned a certificate in graphic design from CCM. So they have the option to either continue their education and go for further college education, either a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, or if they choose to enter the workforce directly, they'll be well prepared for that. Okay, so our application process. Students entering grades 10 and 11 for September of 2021 can apply. We're not taking 9th graders in this program because the classes are rigorous. It's college level work, and we want to make sure that the students are mature enough to handle the workload. CTE classes can only be taken by those admitted to the CTE program. So you can't just take one class and, flit in and out. You're either in the program and you're working towards completion, or you're not. The classes can be taken over 3 years if necessary, or if you choose. If you want to start sophomore year, you have until your senior year to finish all 4 classes. And our formal application is still under development because we want to seek input from our advisory committee at our January meeting. Okay, so here's our timeline. Our application was filed with the New Jersey Department of Education on November 17th of this year. We should be hearing back from them of a formal acceptance by the end of the month, maybe the beginning of January. For July of this coming summer, we are going to align the CTE curriculum with the new New Jersey student learning standards in visual and performing arts. The department just came out with new standards this past June, so everything has to be realigned with those standards for September. Our first cohort will begin this program September of 2021. Then September of 2022, our first cohort will enter the final year of the program and the second cohort will begin. And by June 30th of 2023, our first CTE cohort will have completed the program. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gina Heineman to talk to you about the Perkins Grant.
Thank you so much. The Perkins Grant is funding from the federal government. It's a federal education program that invests in career and technical education programs in all 50 states. They recognize the importance of preparing our students for careers when they graduate high school. It is a one-year grant with no carryover, which means we will have to apply every year. Go ahead. There are a lot of guidelines for the Perkins 5 grant, and I kind of kept it to a minimum for everyone. It is a very lengthy document to go through. Basically, the funds can only be approved for CTE programs. We do have to involve community stakeholders in the CTE design and implementation process. So as Janet had said, we already started, we have a committee that we've met with. We will also be meeting with a county-wide group that I am a part of to make sure that we're kind of meeting the needs in Morris County and in the surrounding areas. It assists students in meeting high standards by supporting the district with funding for technology needs, as well as professional development. So they also recognize that school districts might not have CTE certified teachers, so therefore we can use the funding to make sure that our teachers are getting trained and can become CTE certified as well. Okay, what can the funding be used for? Obviously, it can be used for career and technical education courses, linking CTE at the secondary level to post-secondary level institutions. So we can use some of that money with our partnership that we have with CCM, providing students with, industry experience. That's going to be huge. And so we want our students, we have, in speaking with local schools that have CTE programs, some of the students, once they begin their work experience, actually get hired by those companies. So that's something that we really want to make sure that our students have that experience available to them. It's also, there was one more. Expanding the use of technology, training our CTE teachers, and collaboration with technology industries to provide our internships or mentoring. Okay. Our eligibility requirements, we need to submit a plan to the state. We're working on that. Have at least one approved CTE program, which we've submitted. It has a program of study. Conduct a comprehensive local needs assessment that provides the data for how the CTE program is meeting the needs of the workforce. So for this particular requirement, the comprehensive local needs assessment, also known as the CLNA, last year I became part of a Perkins 5 core team where we met with local leaders, district leaders, and basically worked through what is available in the workforce for our students. This is something that we have to make sure that we are creating a program that's from data. It can't be something that we think we like that, or the kids really want that. We need to have the data in front of us in order to submit it to get Perkins funding. So we spent a lot of time last year looking at labor market information and Morris County data cards, just to make sure that the jobs that these students were preparing them for actually exist in Morris County. And they do, which is great. Anything, including technology, is definitely going to be a benefit to our students. So it's not a small process by any means. There's a lot of work that needs to be put into this, but just so that you know that there's a lot of requirements that we need to be able to meet in order to submit our application. Next slide. Is that one it? That's the last one, right? So we're working on the Perkins grant as we, it's gonna be a process throughout the year.
I've been on mute talking this entire time. Just real quick before we kind of end the presentation. Right away at the meeting that Janet hosted in, I believe it was November, where we invited the members of our steering committee together. One of the people that Janet had on that committee, which she spoke to in the presentation, was I believe he was the admissions
Yes.
at Kubert School.
Yes, Lloyd Gregory.
Right, and what happened almost instantaneously when that meeting started and we all introduced ourselves was a direct conversation between Mr. Gregory and our two teachers, that were there, and the sharing of knowledge that occurred in terms of, he offered a program that they use at Kubert. And our teacher said, well, no, we're not familiar with that program, but we all Googled it in the background and started to look at that. And right from that point, you could see the benefit of having everybody sitting at that table talking in a focused way on the kids, number one, number two, the CTE program, and number three, how we can make it even better. And I just, I want to thank both Ms. Gaynor-Matanti and Ms. Heineman for their work. This has been a long process. Change happens slowly with higher education institutions because the more layers you have, so to speak, the slower the change happens. But I certainly cannot wait for this program to start. And I am just so excited for the kids that are going to choose to participate. And I think this is only the beginning for this type of partnership and this type of program at Dover. So thank you very much for joining us and for sharing what you have been through over the course of a few months here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome, very exciting news. Do any board members have any questions or comments?
Ms.
Ruiz?
Grisales? Oh, I wasn't sure if you could see me. Thanks. I just want to thank Ms. Heineman and Ms. Gaynor-Matanti. That was an awesome presentation. And probably most, if not all, board members are going to remember this clip that we were shown as part of New Jersey School Boards Association, talking about our role in the job of training students for jobs in the future that don't yet exist. And that's what I thought when you were making this presentation, like, oh my God, you found a way to train students for jobs that don't yet exist. It is very exciting to start on any new venture, but one that is so meticulously prepared. So thank you, Ms. Dallapaloo, for adding that piece to it. And I'm really excited. I must have missed it. I'm sure you said so, but I was a little concerned about if we have to apply yearly, is the student entering a yearly program or a 4-year program? Are they entering their freshman year to become CTE graduates at the end of their 4-year, or is each year taken on its own?
It's I think you might be conflating something that I said with something that Gina said.
Yep.
We have our program, the classes only run 2 years. So you would apply to get in at the beginning. You don't have to apply again once you're in. But I believe Gina said that we have to apply for the Perkins funding every year. Correct, Gina?
Right, but the funding is not going to affect whether or not the kids are staying in the program. We're running the program no matter what.
That's great to hear. That was the only thing that worried me. And I knew that I missed something. So thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciated the very direct description of CTE and why it's needed, right? And I think that's you honed in on that, and your visuals were perfect. So thank you. It makes it a lot easier to read. I have a question. What are the differences between the career technical education and what we had FAPA and HSA and what we currently have those academies? What are the pros and cons, and if a child or parent are not sure, why should they apply to this CTE initiative?
Okay, I can really only speak toward FAPA, but the difference between FAPA and the CTE program, I would say the main difference is that the CTE program has 12 college credits, where FAPA did not. FAPA was about integrating the arts into the core content areas, which was great. And it was also about exploring different careers in the arts. So, I mean, a difference there too. FAPA covered more as far as drama, dance, art, music, whereas this is more visual art. But this one definitely would give them a leg up when they get out of school, because you'd have 12 college credits, you'd have an industry credential. And honestly, there are a lot more jobs in graphic art than there are to be an actor or a dancer. I would say those are the difference between FAPA and this.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. I think that it's different programs for different needs. Right?
What's the city teaches?
In HSA, it's a dual enrollment program with Rutgers. So they're taking Rutgers assessments at the end of each course that they take. They're not getting an industry certification for anything. So that's the difference.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Great. It's great to see you. And thank you for all your work as teachers and educators.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so do we want to move on to our next agenda item? Yes, all right. So that would be the public comment section. The board, 1 second, please. The board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters. To ensure fair and orderly expression of such comment, each statement shall be held to a time period of 3 minutes. Public comments limited to the items on this agenda shall be entertained for approximately 30 minutes in total upon the discretion of myself. Since this is a virtual meeting occurring during the COVID-19 shutdown, public comment has been solicited through the Google form on the district website. Please understand that public comment portions of our agenda are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather they are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. The board may or may not respond to public comments. However, all comments are considered and will be investigated and addressed as appropriate. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when providing comments. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students or employees. Please be advised that you are commenting at your own risk. Any public comments that are directed at a particular individual or individuals could subject you to legal liability for defamation. Are there any, bye-bye, have a good one. Are there any participants in the meeting, Mr. Rigliano?
I see one public comment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Minkowitz.
From Susan Shower, 346 West Clinton. Good evening. In reference to the first reading of policy number 7510, use of school facilities, I assume this is in reaction to the non-approved event of November 28th at Dover High School. The COVID clinic that was held in conjunction with the Dover Health Department. There had been only minimal mention of this event by the superintendent during his report at the last meeting, and even less discussion or questions by the board members. Although I agree with the need for the COVID clinic without a doubt, I do question why such an event was taken so lightly with no questions regarding the need for proof of insurance as mandated by the current policy. Cost to the event group, which was Medline Diagnostic, a for-profit company. Did the district incur any costs from employee salary or overtime for those who worked the event? My major concern is the unbalanced reactions by the board members to various topics. Extensive discussion on some policies prior to voting, then complete lack of discussion on items that their own policies cover. Every board member should have asked the superintendent when he mentioned this event this question: do we have a policy in place to cover use of our facilities? No one did. The district has suffered lawsuits in the past from incidents occurring during events, even those with the town of Dover. Please be better stewards of the assets the taxpayers and voters entrust you with. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that comment, Ms. Shower. Our community holding us accountable, so I am appreciative of that. Is there any comments from the administration that we want to respond to?
Well, before Ms. Chrysalis, maybe we can just see if there's anyone. We do have some attendees in the Zoom session, and they can, if any of them would like to participate live, they can and raise their hand.
Sure, I'm sorry, I thought there was none. Thank you for that.
I'm not seeing any raised hands.
I don't
Yes,
either.
I see 8 participants. If any of you are interested in commenting, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, I see no hands.
Okay. So yes, I can certainly comment that this policy is already in place. It's a revision. So we have a policy on the use of facilities. We follow with due diligence our use of policy, use of the policy, exercise of the policy in regard to any event that occurs, and that includes the requirement for insurance. And I know the board is aware of that. I'm just saying that for the sake of the public who heard the question.
Dr. McLaughlin, was there any cost for the district during that time? I believe we discussed that
No,
at
we
some point,
have
but
we have individuals on duty that day, so we did not put anyone extra on.
thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the board at this time? None? Okay. All right. With that, then we move forward with our next agenda item. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion from the board to approve November 17th and November 19th executive, regular, and special meeting minutes?
So moved.
So moved.
Ms. Mullen, is
Second.
there a second? Mr. Miller, thank you. Any board comments or discussion about the minutes? I see none. Okay. Mr. Minkowitz, will you please have a roll call for the board?
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Viveros,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. Now on to communications. I don't know, Dr. McLaughlin, do you have any communication?
I do not.
Okay, I only have one item. On December 4th, the board received communication from Mine Hill Board of Education regarding our sent received proposed contract. We're in the process of reviewing the proposal and look forward to collaboration after the new year. Any board members have or received communications that are met for the entire board at this time? No? Okay. Then we move forward, Dr. McLaughlin, with the administrative reports, if you want to introduce to your reports.
Thank you. So I'll begin. Good evening. I'm happy to announce that each of our schools has selected their Governor's Educator of the Year recipient. Last year, our district initiated participation in this statewide program. It's a program that highlights educational innovation, student achievement, the rewards of teaching, and important services outside the classroom environment that lead to student success. We're proud to recognize the contributions of our Dover educators and the contributions that they make for their students and the wider educational community. So last week, we had the honor of virtually meeting with each of our recipients and informing them of this important recognition. And I'd like to announce our recipients as follows: Craig Lishwa, DHS teacher; Lori Fry, who is our Ed Service Professional of the Year, one of our guidance counselor. Monica Bialabuk, and Miss Bialabuk is an Academy Street school teacher. Joanne Wasco from East Dover Elementary. Caitlin Kapinski from Dover Middle School, and Elizabeth Kiernan from North Dover Elementary. All of our recipients will be formally recognized at the regular meeting of the Board of Education in January. We're very proud of them and we look forward to greeting them on that night. During in-class presentations, individual meetings, and through our social media and through our Naviance program, our counselors go over many programs and opportunities that are available to our students, or post-secondary opportunities that are available to students. And one of these opportunities is a program called QuestBridge. And Christopher and Victor Criollo have received early acceptance and full four-year scholarships as QuestBridge match finalists. The scholarships cover the full cost of their attendance, including their tuition, their room and board, their books, their supplies, and their travel expenses. Christopher received a full four-year scholarship to Washington University in St. Louis, and he's planning to study political science on a pre-law track. Victor received a full four-year scholarship to Northwestern University, and he is planning to study biochemistry on a pre-med track. So we're very, very proud of those students and these students as well. Two of our other seniors, Emily Gomez and Irvin Gonzalez Martinez, were also National QuestBridge match finalists. This is a very competitive program with applications throughout the country. So the fact that we have had 4 students who are finalists in this program is astounding and amazing, and really something that we can all be very, very proud of.
I think that calls for going on mute and applauding. Yes. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. McGrath.
No, it's a great interruption.
Yes.
These students will plan to continue their college application process through QuestBridge, and we'd like to congratulate these students on this extraordinary achievement. We'd like to commend as well Ms. Lori Fry and the whole DHS Guidance Department for their support of these students in pursuit of their post-secondary academic goals. Last fall, we invited Dover educators to consider a clinical graduate program to address the challenges of dyslexia and to develop their skills in the highly specialized Orton-Gillingham reading technique. This is a clinical program where teachers work under the supervision of a college professor as they deliver services to 2 students in separate weekly sessions, putting into practice the instructional skills they acquire. The 4-course sequence to achieve certification in this program is highly challenging, and many participant teachers have shared with me over the years that it was the hardest, most challenging, and also most rewarding coursework they had ever engaged in. I am proud to congratulate those Dover teachers who earlier this month completed the first course in their 4-course sequence, and they are Lori Bullock, Kylie Eisensmith, Valerie Hemingway, Elizabeth Kiernan, Mercedes Longmore, Karen Phelps, Madeline Santiago, and Trisha Zarinko. We congratulate these teachers for going the extra yard, to committing to expanding their professional knowledge, and we're thankful to Fairleigh Dickinson University and their Department of Dyslexia Studies for their partnership with the Dover schools. On November the 20th, I provided an update to our parents, guardians, and caregivers that the next decision date for the possibility of in-person instruction would occur at the conclusion of the second marking period, which occurs on January 20th, 2021. At this time, the district has addressed previous concerns that have been mentioned in regard to HVAC, our air conditioning, physical accommodations, and we've done this to the greatest extent possible, as well as ordering sufficient PPE and additional sanitizing equipment, which will be on hand for whatever time we can safely reopen. Further work is occurring at the high school level in regard to the schedule, and that will provide us with more appropriate spacing than we had originally anticipated. All of these elements will be included in a revised reopening plan that we will be ready to implement at the time in which we are able to welcome students back into our schools. At this time, as you may be aware, our community continues to be within a very strong second wave of COVID, with 110 new cases reported for Dover last week. And we continue to receive reports of many student-aged individuals who are reporting positive COVID in Dover. We will base a decision on reopening that is aligned with the conditions that are closer to our January 20th date. And we'll continue to work with our Department of Health and coordinate with our County Office of Education to make the best and the safest recommendation possible. It cannot be said enough how much we appreciate the partnership, the understanding, and the support of our families throughout this extended period of remote instruction. And we promise and pledge our community that we will make the very best decision possible regarding the reopening of school. I would like to thank SNAP-Ed Sioux Falls and their AmeriCorps volunteers for the recent contribution that they have made to bring school meals to additional sites at Victory Gardens and Belmont Avenue. Their purchase of a van for this purpose and the dedication of their time is truly appreciated. Presently, we are exploring options to provide a schedule of meal distribution during the holiday recess. As a matter of fact, just late today, we finalized that. So we will be distributing meals during the holiday recess, and that schedule will be posted on our website and broadcast on our social media. We are also, and I want to thank St. John's Church and Father Rod, because we are also expanding to provide meal distribution at St. John's as soon as we have state approval for that site. And so that will be an additional site that will be proximate to many of our families. So especially during this time that we're remote, and even if we are in a hybrid situation where meals are being picked up, I feel confident that we are providing those in a proximate way to our families. On a final note, we're asking all staff this week, as we receive news of new weather coming our way. So all staff who have been reporting in person to work, we are asking them to stay home on Thursday and to avoid the accumulated snow. We will provide instruction as we have been, because it is remote and we have the ability to provide that instruction without interruption as long as there are no power outages. So there will be no food distribution, however, on Wednesday and Thursday. However, we've provided additional meals today and yesterday in anticipation of the poor weather conditions and to ensure student safety by not making anyone come out the road on those types of hazardous days. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Sainer and Ms. Nutting.
You got all the good news this week, this month, Dr. McLaughlin. That was just a whole lot of sunshine. So there's just a lot of thank yous. And I know you said it, but just to reiterate, SNAP-Ed and Sioux Falls for working with our district and of course the administration to provide food for our kids and our families, even when there's a snowstorm coming. That's amazing. Thank you for teachers for, I'm sorry, not just going the extra yard, but going the extra mile. It is no joke to complete, college classes when you're teaching full time and probably have family and other commitments as well. So that's amazing. Our educators of the year, congratulations to them. That is earned, so richly deserved. And then our students who have gone the extra mile as well to win these amazing awards. Just amazing opportunities for them. So just thank you to everyone who had anything at all to do with any of those wonderful pieces of good news. And thank you for sharing them.
Yes, just to piggyback on Dr. Sainer's comment, thank you to all those teachers and congratulations to those students. What amazing accomplishments. And just to kind of say to Dr. McLaughlin, it is definitely a pleasure to have this opportunity that we have our teachers being able to get that extra training in dyslexia, being a parent of children myself. And I don't know if people understand the struggle that families go through. And I have to say, there are families that are also ashamed to even announce that their child has that disability, because it's something that you learn skills for, but it's something that's not a fix. You have to live with that word for your rest of your life. So thank you to those teachers especially, and being able to help our parents and have somebody to confide in and talk to also to help them through this whole thing.
Great. Thank you everyone for your comments. Mr. Riculiano, still working on that pronunciation.
That's okay.
Apologize.
Okay, so on the agenda for approval tonight is an agreement with the Essex Regional Educational Services Commission. That's a mouthful. To offer collaborative after-school tutoring and homework assistance classes for qualified migrant students attending Dover School District. The classes will be held online 5 times weekly for up to 90 minutes. This is our second year in partnering with Essex Regional to help meet the needs of our migrant students. And I believe, Dr. McLaughlin, we have approximately 50 migrant students.
Yes.
Okay. Another round of Vanguard sessions were completed with a focus on our elementary staff. These sessions were titled Welcome to the iPad, Teaching and Learning with the iPad, Exploring Workflows on the iPad, and Native iPad Apps to Inspire Learning. These sessions were so popular and deemed necessary for our staff that we will be having all elementary teachers attend them after the Christmas break. Our integration specialist will work with our Apple development specialist to ensure that we're covering all the bases for the professional development event and making it as comprehensive as possible for our elementary teachers. And lastly, I want to wish our collective staff as a whole a restful winter break. The past 4 months have been long. They've been difficult as we've transitioned to virtual school. Teaching is very much a whole body experience. And when teachers give of themselves to their students, as I have seen our teachers do, it does take a toll, and it can drain you. So I just, I want to make sure that we take time to recoup the energy, the motivation, and the love for our work that we can. So my message to all staff is we are going to take time to unplug, to recharge. And yes, I came up with that myself. So that's, unplugging from all of our devices, the stimulation, the making decisions, as we do all day, every day, throughout the day, and actively seek those activities personal to us that can allow us to recharge. January 4th will be here before we know it. And I think that that message is something that we all need to do over the winter break. So that's concludes my report.
Great, thank you. That is great advice. Ms. Ruiz?
Thank you, Ms. Grisales, and thank you, Ms. Sirigliano. I know how to pronounce it. I think because Ms. Grisales said she's working on it, I tripped on it. I apologize. I just want to note that throughout this pandemic, we have talked about social distancing, and with one of the organizations with which I volunteer, we talk about not 6 feet of distance, but rather 6 feet of solidarity, of keeping that 6 feet apart, but really coming together. And I want to thank our entire school community, of course, our teachers and administrators, but our entire school community and Dover community and Mine Hill community and Victory Gardens community for coming together for our students. Dr. McLaughlin and Mr. Sirigliano's reports highlighted collaborations with the town of Dover, with MedLab, I think Apple, with Essex Regional, focusing on migrant students, which I know is a organization that had for years tried to collaborate with our community. And now we finally are doing that for the past 2 years, with St. John's Episcopal Church, with Father Rod. And I know that is not exhaustive in any way. The presenters today talked about collaborations with Rutgers. And it's that solidarity that I think we need, and I certainly have always wanted but is so crucial right now during this pandemic. So thank you for reaching out, for doing that extra work. And I'm sure that every one of our administrators and teachers does have their own challenges. They themselves may be parenting from home, or they themselves may be struggling with illness or ill loved ones. I guess we're going to sound like broken records tonight, but I don't think we can say thank you enough as this year closes. And I'm certainly reflecting on what I'm grateful for, and I'm very grateful for our school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Minkowitz.
Good evening. On this evening's agenda in the finance section is approval for the Concerned Employee Assistance Program. This is an employee assistance program available to all staff. The following services are covered for employees and their household members: short-term EAP counseling, short-term management and career coaching, critical incident response, management consultation on employee behavioral issues, EAP promotional brochures, monthly news briefs, 24-hour access to emergency care, counselors trained in assessment and short-term therapy and treatment planning and referral recommendations. Also on tonight's agenda is a proposal by Dr. Richard Grip to perform demographic services. Dr. Sainer might discuss this as well in the finance review. The finance committee met virtually with Dr. Grip and discussed a proposal that he gave to us. The study will include a community overview, live birth data, historical enrollment trends, self-contained special education, enrollment projections, housing growth, capacity analysis, and home sales. The study will also include a detailed housing analysis. The total cost of the study is approximately $11,600, and Mine Hill has agreed to share a small amount of the cost. Dr. Grip calculated that the cost to Mine Hill would be $500+ and they'll share in that cost with us. Lastly, I'd just like to mention that the audit remains underway. The audit due date has been moved the second time. It was moved the first time to January by the New Jersey State Legislature, and they just moved it again to February 5th. So the audit is due February 5th. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I see Dr. Sainer. Go ahead.
Mr. Minkowitz, is the Concern program that we now have that we're contracting for in this month's finance approvals, is that a new program, a replacement of an old program?
I believe it is new.
That's
I
awesome.
know Mr. Bullock has been working on it for a few months now. And yes, I think it's new to get off the ground for us.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And Mr. Minkowitz, I did not present to you this question beforehand, so I understand if you are not prepared to answer it. But in regards to the audit that has been pushed a second time, what steps are we taking? You know, where are we as a district in regards to that? I know that you gave an update in the finance committee last time, but a brief for everyone to kind of hear where we're at with that.
That's a good question. I know that the auditor forwarded that announcement to me the day that it was announced. But I don't know if he's, 80% done with the audit, 90%, 95%, but that's a good question. I'll ask him where exactly he is.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other board members? Okay. Thank you, administrators, for your reports. Very informative. We are moving forward with the administrative approvals. Is there a motion to approve administrative approvals A through C?
So moved.
All right, Ms. Mullen, thank you. And I saw Dr. Sainer raising hand. Would you
Second.
be interested in second? Perfect. Are there any board members that have discussion points on those agenda items? Seeing no one. Mr. Mankiewicz, may we have roll call, please?
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen, Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Roderos,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Mullen, may you lead the personnel items and provide an update on the committee? Oh, there is no committee. On the items, please.
I was going to say, I have no committee report. Okay. I move upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the board approves the following personnel resolutions for the 2020-2021 school year as listed. New personnel employment appointments are contingent upon the required state and federal criminal history background checks in accordance with NJSA Chapter 116 PL 1986 and completion of required employee paperwork, including pre-employment verification. And that is number 1 through 18. So we have some resignations, some retirements, but we have some new employees, some for leave replacements, and we have a new bilingual elementary teacher in grade 2, which is great. And we have some approvals for some of our co-curricular stipends. Hopefully we'll all be back in school at some point to really get these programs started. And it's a lot of the sports program and substitute teachers and our contract to provide some independent contractors to support some of our student needs with Delta T, and our change in the contract, which we discussed before with Rutgers Behavioral Health Care, which is exciting, and we're going to start using them. And the Marigold completion for Dr. McLaughlin and the Marigold completion for Mrs. Sirigliano. So, and they discussed both of those. One was the training completion of our Orton Gillingham program, the first wave and the second wave starting, and the other was the CTE program. So thank you to both of you for getting those done under very difficult circumstances. Any questions?
We have a Ms. Mullen move the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Viveros, I saw a hand for second. Are there any discussion points? Dr. Sainer?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mullen. A couple of things. Thank you for to the teachers and the administrators who are making these extracurricular programs happen. Hopefully the sports will be able to happen safely at some point, but anything that we can provide for our students after school that's fun and provide socialization, we just keep talking about how important it is. So thank you, and more please. And then the second thing is a couple of our new hires are actually Dover alumni. So that is always really nice to see.
Yes, Ms. Nutting, go ahead.
Just want to take the opportunity, because we do have a retirement, just to thank Ms. Barabas on here for her service for Dover. When she did start, I was one of her first students, so it is definitely a pleasure to actually say thank you for your service and good luck on your retirement.
Awesome, that's great. This may be for our next, and maybe we can have board members, if you are in agreement, to really discuss where in the process our human resources is with exit interviews. I know that we've talked about that in the past, and Dr. McLaughlin had discussed that that is in the making. So it would be great, you know, to for those who are retiring and you know, their career, as well as those who are deciding to leave and we would like to learn, right? And hopefully in the future have a report on that.
Ms. Grisales, we're ready to report on that at a committee meeting. So we have a process finished. I was thinking maybe policy would be a good place
Yeah.
to discuss it.
Could be. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, good. If we then move forward with roll call, please.
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Viveros,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. If we move to negotiations, Ms. Catano, please.
Thank you, Ms. Grisales. We, as the committee members, met on December 3rd. And also on December 10th, we met with the DEA, and we had another negotiation session. It was via Zoom, and it was for about 95 minutes. That concludes my report.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Catano. Ms. Nutting, curriculum and co-curriculum agenda items and update, please.
Okay, so we met on December 8th and we met for about, I would say about 60 minutes for a total of an hour. We talked about technology update and we had some recent issues with our Google Meet, and that was with our VPN address and I guess the server itself. We needed to just update some things for our students. The technology team was working on the issue and everything should be running efficiently. I would assume, because I know majority of our students are back on. The Vanguard update, which Ms. Sorigliano did give us an update. There were meetings that were in November and December. There were a total of 11. The assessments and benchmarks were discussed in length and how the district continues to assess the students' progress. And also we discussed moving forward, how does the district deal with assessing our students during a pandemic? Looking at the different activities academics offered and revamping the model and how things should run to give our students all the opportunities to shine, especially with our learning community, our FAPA program, and our HSA program. For virtual students, which was brought up to our committee to have a question about how we are having extracurricular activities offered at the high school and middle school level. They are definitely underway. We do have a student council has 50 students. The jazz band at the middle school has 20 students participating. Builders Club is starting next month, and the Junior Honor Society induction is going to be on December 21st. And that concludes my report. That concludes my report, and I would like to make a motion for the board to approve the following resolutions 1 through 5.
Second.
Perfect. Was there a second?
A second.
Ms. Viveros. So Ms. Viveros, hand. Next one. Next time, Mr. Miller. Is there any board discussion points? No? I just have a quick question for Dr. McLaughlin or Mr. Liano. Ms. Nutting mentioned about the updates to the networks. Can you expand a little bit on that? I believe there was some challenges in regarding to those updates. Can you expand on that for a second?
Actually, no. Unfortunately, it is that much of a technical issue that we're having. I would prefer to defer. We're still working on it. We're still experiencing some things. There's still some troubleshooting that needs to happen with the team. I have not been debriefed and given a full report in terms of what the issue was, what the resolution was, and what steps we need to take. So I really would be speaking out of turn. I thought I was going to have that information for the board tonight. I apologize. I will touch base with the team tomorrow, make sure that I can provide that. Right now I can provide it via an email or at the January meeting. So
Thank you. I appreciate for your candid report. I know that it's hard. And this is something, from my understanding, that hasn't happened just right now. It has been something that has been accumulated, correct, from previous setups. Is that correct?
Previous setups led to some of the issues we're experiencing now. When you're dealing with something like Google and your equipment is sending quote unquote bad messages to Google, they're going to look at that as a threat and they're going to block you. And that's partly what has happened. But again, I wasn't debriefed, so I don't want to speak out of turn and put something out there that potentially is not accurate.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Look forward to that report when you are briefed. Okay, so Mr. McLewis, we have remove the motion. We have a second. May we have roll call, please?
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Viveros,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. Thank you all. Mr. Mello, may you give us a report on the community relations, please?
Sure, thank you. The Community Relations Committee met on December 1st. We discussed a variety of things, one of which was the positive feedback on the virtual Dover High School play that was conducted. That was excellent. And it was just very glad to see that they were able to continue that even with COVID. We were also told that the senior pictures were taken in person, which was great for the seniors, and that there are makeup dates for those seniors that they'll be able to make sure that they have all their pictures for the yearbook, and there's still time, for pictures for all the students depending on when students are back in person. They were also able to conduct driver ed tests in person, which was great. And we did discuss the COVID spread in area schools and the impact it has on staffing. We've been informed that the communication with our town officials and health department has been going really well. Everything is good there. And the iPads are almost fully deployed. 97% were deployed at East Dover, 96% at North Dover, and 99% at Academy Street. So that's great news. Also, there's been an increase in requests for hotspots, which is good. I think the word has gotten out there for people that really need it. I attended an Educational Services Commission meeting on the 9th of December. It was a typical business meeting, nothing really new to report there. In regard to the Communication and Community Relations Action Plan, the administration will be documenting all communication mediums for each school, which will include platform and messaging. And this will be used as a baseline that can be further measured for effectiveness going forward. The administration will also be collecting data usage metrics for each communication platform. And they will also, they're in progress, they're developing a survey that's in progress that will seek input from parents on the district's communications effectiveness so that we have a better idea, are we reaching people the right way, and is the message getting to everyone effectively through all the schools and not just some schools. In regard to Mine Hill Community Relations, we already talked about the draft plan that we knew was going to be sent to us. And our East Dover principal is currently creating a virtual video, a PowerPoint as well, that will be used to communicate to the Mine Hill fifth and sixth graders so that they have more information on all our amazing programs, facilities, clubs, and sports activities, because starting early to let those parents know what those opportunities are will give them better options or to make informed decisions about, where some of their students may go to school. And one of the things that we had been looking for is to connect Mine Hill's website to the Dover Public Schools site, which it has been. It's under the district tab. So we're trying to make those connections all the way around. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Great work for the community relations. I know that you all attend a lot of meetings, and I know the board is very appreciative of that. So thank you for putting that together.
Thank you.
Ms. Viveros, may you lead the policy agenda items and provide us an update with that committee, please?
Yes, thank you. The policy committee met on December 8th via Google Meet. And I'll start with item 1, which is one of 2 readings. Policy 2431, athletic competition. The new law was codified, which now includes language required for districts' emergency action plan and procedures. We have added into this policy to include homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities. Policy 3161 and policy 4161, they're both examination for cause. One is for the teaching staff and one is for the support staff. This policy is revised as the board was asked to express our philosophy more clearly in the policy. Policy 3216, dress and grooming. This is updated to reflect present day standards. Policy 4220, employee evaluation. The change made within this policy is adding the support staff to employee evaluations in order to provide additional clarification. Policy 6470.01, electronic funds transfer and claimant certification. This is a brand new policy. It establishes a method in which you can pay your bills electronically instead of paying with checks. Policy 7510, use of school facilities. Policy and regulation guides have been revised to reflect the changes and provides the language that follows the new mandates. This includes a statement that the board shall provide safety and security information to the organization that sponsors the youth programs. Policy 8420, emergency and crisis situations. The new law revises policy which requires school districts to ensure substitutes are provided with information and training on the school's practices and procedures on school safety and security. Policy 8561, procurement procedures for school nutrition programs. Technical policy change compliance with the federal regulation. Our procurement procedures follow the regulations for purchasing food. I'll move on to item 2, which is second reading. The first reading occurred on November 17th. All items in item 2 I wish to move forward with. And then item 3, which is one reading only, no changes. We have policy 3230 and policy 4230. They're both for outside activities. One is for the teaching staff, one is for the support staff. And then we have policy 3232, which is tutoring services. I move that we approve items 1, 2, and 3.
Perfect. Is there a second for those policy?
Second.
Mr. Miller, second. Are there any board discussion points?
Ms. Grisales, I just have one thing I wanted to mention that as a member of the committee, we did discuss the use of facilities. There were a couple things there that we wanted to make sure that that any use of facilities will be listed in the agenda, and that we would, as a board, see those applications. And I understand that in the past, the use of facilities would be approved by the board, but the administration would be doing that now. But we would still see everything and be able to ask questions. And if there was any issue with the use of facility, the board can reverse any decision the administration makes. And I just wanted to make that clear, because it's a little different than what was the policy previously.
Ms. Nolan, did I see your hand?
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't submit. It's a little question about 8561, the school nutrition, the procurement. Under the details, it only has advertisement in a newspaper for getting those bids and with only 1 day turnaround. So I'm wondering if the committee can, maybe Mr. Minkowitz can discuss that or talk about that. Like, I think we should expand it to other, internet things, the way we're doing other kind of procurement situations or advertising in that. I don't know, just posting in the paper for 1 day. I don't know if that's sufficient, but I'm not sure the rationale between, around that. So it's something to look at, maybe discuss. Thank you.
That's a good suggestion. Whenever I can, if I know of food service companies that I can send a solicitation directly to, I'll do that. But definitely reach out more than one advertisement is a good idea.
Ms. Mullen, would you like to amend the motion in any way?
Amended for the policy
Well-
committee to look at
Yes, 1 second.
8561.
Right,
Go ahead.
yeah. Dr. McLaughlin?
Yeah, it's only the first reading, so we can bring it back
Yeah.
with another proposal.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Ms.
Yeah.
Brisas, I don't know if you can see. I
Yes,
have
Ms.
a-
Royce. Mhm.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you're done, Ms. Mullen. Okay, I didn't submit this because I didn't feel this confusion till just now, and I think it's the difference between policy and practice. So I just want to be clear on what, if any, changes are being made to the use of facilities policy. It seems like there has been changes made to our practice. Could you just clarify that and be clear on what is our current policy and practice and proposed policy and practice?
Sure.
Is that
I-
a clear? Okay,
Yeah, if let me take a shot at that, and then tell me if I'm accurate. I think the one area that, well, there were two different areas. Ms. Viveros mentioned that that regulation now indicates that if you have a group coming in, you have to make them aware of safety standards. So that has to go into the policy. The other piece that Mr. Miller referenced was, I had asked the board previously to end the practice of approving school facilities, because one of the complaints that we had from our community was the bureaucracy in terms of being able to use our facilities. And we were looking to streamline that. As one of the measures, there were other things we did to streamline that, but one of the pieces I had asked the board was, could we, as long as we were following all the requirements such as insurance and making sure that individuals told us the nature of their organization and all the pieces that are part of our form, would the board allow us to move forward without waiting for a board meeting and oftentimes making an organization submit their application so far in advance? So first of all, I appreciate that from the board, but one of the things that I should have done more promptly was reconcile the policy with the practice, as you said. This will not only do the incorporate the new regulations as far as safety knowledge, but it will also memorialize our practice of moving forward with the way that we've been doing pieces with the with facilities for, I would say, the last year. But Mr. Miller had brought up in committee, as he mentioned again tonight, that it would still be good for the board to know who's using our facilities, and could I list them on the board agenda, which I would not see an issue with.
Okay, so our policy, if this policy passes, will match our practice that the use of facilities, as long as it complies with all our requirements, does not need board approval. And now we are adding the practice that even though it doesn't need board approval, the board will still be noticed of that use in an administrative report, for example, or as part of the agenda.
Correct.
Right? Okay, and then previously, the policy did require board approval and we weren't following that?
Previously, it did require board approval, and that was happening at one time, but there was a concern that arose about community organizations and what they felt were the hurdles in terms of using our facilities. And as part of that, we changed the practice. And as I said, I should have brought the policy right up to the board to change the policy, but we're doing that now at this point.
Thank you. I think I'm clear now. That helps.
Ms. Mullen?
Ms. Gonzalez, Dr. McLaughlin, just having heard about these issues over the years on the board, and you'll let us know which you have approved. For full disclosure, should we also be made aware of which approvals were not administratively approved?
Sure, yeah.
Because some of the ones that came to the board over the years, had already had the administrative approval, and we didn't know the ones that maybe never made it to that level. So
yeah, it's a good point.
Thought.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so we're in agreement that both approved and not approved by the administration will be presented to the board. Perfect. Is that something that you would enter into the policy, right? And that's the part of matching the practice?
We could put it in the regulation too, since it's kind of like a working procedure.
Right. So. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments from the board? I had a quick one in regards to the athletic competition 2431, allowing homeschool children to participate in extracurricular activities. Is that something that will cost the district anything? I believe that's not practice we had in the past. I'm unsure if we did or did not. Does it cost anything for the district?
I believe, as we discussed it in committee, and those who were there can correct me if I'm wrong, any fees that would go along with athletics would be also paid by a student who was on home instruction. But I think the feeling of the committee, not home instruction, I apologize, homeschooling, a homeschooled student. But I believe the feeling of the committee and one that I agreed with was that our homeschooled students are taxpayers in the district, and that making these activities available to them was the right thing to do.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, then we will move for
I do believe Ms. Ruiz has a question.
Sorry, again, I was clear on it before. I just, so until this passes, unless this passes, students who are homeschooled do not have access to our district extracurricular activities. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, I just I know we've discussed that this has come up on our board before, and I'm glad that this committee and our administration is recommending that, because while we could certainly look at our responsibility to taxpayers and to our school, I think our mission is talking about a responsibility to our entire community, and children who are homeschooled may not be in our district, but are part of our community. So I thank the committee for having a more open and generous view of sharing our resources.
Could I add one other item?
Yes,
Mr.
please,
Cullis,
Dr.
since I don't
McLaughlin, and
want to leave
then
it- yeah.
Mr. Miller.
One of the other areas that came up in our discussion and which we added to the policy is that if there's a full-time student attending the Morris School of Technology, and the Morris School of Technology does not have that activity, that student, although they're a full-time student, a Dover student attending Morris School of Technology, that they could participate in the Dover activity.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
So I'm just adding on to what Carol was saying. I think the discussion that we felt that the taxpayers should be able to participate as long as our insurance and things are in line with people being able to participate, such as homeschooled. So I'm happy for that to be happening.
Thank you. Okay, so roll call, please.
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Viveros,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. We are now at Finance and Facilities. Dr. Sainer, please.
Thank you. We met on December 1st. And Belmont Avenue, they're still working on the punch list. The very good news, the long range facilities plan was approved by the state and is being finalized. The duct work and HVAC work that has been happening over the last couple months in the district, probably my information is outdated, but as of the first, Eastover was 95% complete and work was beginning at Academy Street. North Dover and the high school were finished, but sanitation will be needed after construction. And we do have a monthly plan for the filter changes in the HVAC units moving forward. We discussed public access to the field, the fence separating the track from the turf field to protect our turf field is up. We are working on finding storage for the track and field equipment. And a shed has been ordered, and the policy committee, the next step would be for the policy committee, if the board agrees, to work on a policy about using the field. Mr. Minkowitz and Dr. McLaughlin are working with the principals, and they have been trained on the new budget software. We received an update on payroll and pension reports that were filed. We discussed some of the spending reports. There were apparently some issues transferring to our new budget software, and those are all being rectified by Mr. Minkowitz and people in his department. The administration is working on the 2021-2022 preschool grant, and we'll share details at our next finance meeting. Mr. Minkowitz reported that our health insurance broker predicts that although there were a significant number of employees that switched healthcare plans in January in response to Chapter 44, we will break even in terms of predicted and actual insurance costs to the district, but the broker does anticipate an increase in the cost of employee benefits moving forward. That concludes the report on the meeting. I would like to move that we approve resolutions number 1 through 8, and draw your attention to number 8. And thank Harry O. Baker for their, again, a really generous contribution to the Stop It program for $2,600. They have been longtime supporters of this and other programs. So a big thank you to them.
Thank you, Dr. Sainer. You took the words out of my mouth. I appreciate that. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Catano. Are there any board discussion points? Ms. Mullen?
Just a quick question on number 8. It's Harry O'Baker, Henry
Or
O'Baker?
Henry?
Henry, should be Henry. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
good.
I was like, I don't know who Harry is, but let's look for more money. So that's okay.
I thought I had been saying it all wrong this year. I'm like, oh, it was Harry?
All right.
No,
All
no,
right,
yes.
Thank you for correcting.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
If it helps, a lot of us call it H.O. Baker, which is probably why some of us didn't know whether it was Henry or Harry.
Harry. Yes, I know. I'm H.O. Baker. Thank you. I apologize for the Henry O. Baker. Okay, I just have a quick question regarding the policy of using the fields. Is that something that the policy committee can take? Is that something that is not covered by the policy that we just, the first reading that we approved? What are your thoughts, policy people?
No, I think we felt that it needed its own policy, so it could be specific to our field. We'll get no help from Strauss Esme on that one. It's going to be all homegrown.
Ooh, all right. Looking forward to that one. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. No other board member comments, and then Mr. Minkowicz, roll call, please.
Ms. Catano,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Nutting,
Yes.
Mr. Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer,
Yes.
Ms. Viveros,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales.
Yes. Thank you all. I have no old business, and no old business was submitted to me prior to Monday morning. I have two very, yes, Ms. Mullen?
Oh, no, keep going.
Okay,
Keep going.
I have two very important new business items. One, I want to thank Mr. Robles. This is his last meeting. And Mr. Robles, the students and staff have benefited from your dedication and volunteering hours during this time. I believe since July, correct? So thank you. Your inquiries, your questions have provided a valuable accountability role within the board, and that will be something that I will miss a lot. I wish you the best and hope that you return to this role in the near future. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, thank you. Any board members? Yes, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I just want to echo, we'll miss you, Benjamin, on the Community Relations Committee, because we've really had some good discussions and I really appreciated your insight. It's really helped us a lot. So we'll see you around.
Definitely see him around. Yes, Ms. Viveros.
I also would like to thank Benjamin. He's very thorough and he asks all the right questions, and we appreciate all his help during this time.
Definitely.
Maybe he'll, if I could, maybe he'll be available for some ad hoc, you know, when we need parent participants on some committees.
Yes, I was already thinking, where can we put him? Where can we ask him for more help? Ms. Ruiz?
Along those lines, Mr. Robles, thank you. And I hope we don't have to miss you too much, that you may at some time make the time to come as a member of the public or in some other capacity. I know that you've been a contributing member of the Academy Street School community, and I thank you for bringing that knowledge to the board, and hope that I do see you again, especially after the pandemic is over and we can see each other in person more often. So thank you, and we will miss you, but hopefully not too much.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. And Ms. Nutting would like to give us an update on the Morris County School Board meeting that she attended last time, where she was, you know, in fact, acknowledged for her accomplishments herself in completing all of those trainings. So thank you for that and for your dedication as well. Would you give us a little bit of an update on that?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Mr. Salas. I did attend the Morris County School Board Association's meeting in November. They did of course, as she was recognizing all the people that have done services over the years and all of the years that they, you know, been there for our students. They also recognized Veterans Day, and we did have a guest speaker. I do have to apologize because it was one of those days because it was online. So it was a in and out of service online experience of walking in and out. Ms. Mullen did attend also with me, and I did collaborate with her trying to find out information for stuff that I did miss due to the fact of the internet going in and out. They talked about the path of progress. They also talked about the progress of health benefits, reform barriers, and shared services for special education. So they also did talk about the tuition increases, especially if you're sending your students. So they did talk about a lot of information. And I guess most importantly, they did talk to us about COVID-19 and how it's affecting all of our, you know, districts, and giving the school board members a chance to talk to each other and discuss what each school is going through, and having that nice dialogue of saying what works, what's working for each district, and trying to come up with ideas so you could take it back to your own districts. One thing that they did mention with the legalization of marijuana, what is the policy that we're going to have to look into, and trying to make that as a discussion, I guess, as legislation is going to affect us and our students and our communities. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Really good points for us to kind of keep in mind. Great. Any comments, questions? Okay. Just to
Gonzalez?
Yes, Ms. Reese. How come I never see
No.
you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't see you either if it helps. I see it only 9 squares.
I
and
mean,
you're
no,
not-
I see you, but only after you speak up. I don't see your hand, so I apologize. Go ahead. Oh, no, she froze.
I just, it's not on the agenda, but, oh, am I frozen now? Am I frozen now?
No, you're
No.
okay.
Good. Oh, sorry. It's not on the agenda, but we did have the New Jersey School Boards Association Delegate Assembly on November 21st, and I did attend. There was a vote which I abstained from because all board members have access to the agenda and to all the materials and are always, of course, welcome to email me and let me know if you have any questions or concerns about the vote. This vote was something that I believe our board would have been in favor of and that I was in favor of. It was limiting a sitting board member on another district, another board that had, I think either had like a 1-year term or a 3-year term. It was very confusing. And while still sitting in that term, was running for another term on the same board, on the same school board, which would have left the current term unfinished if that person won, and would have required the board to appoint somebody. And it was just a very confusing thing. And then because the situation was so specific and so confusing, there was a lot of amendments done in the moment that I felt made it more confusing. So I just abstained. It passed anyway. But I just wanted to let the board know that I would have voted in favor, but I thought it was too confusing once it was all said and done.
Ms. Reese, and I don't know, moving forward with the organization meeting in January and things like that, it would be important maybe for the board member to, whoever is the rep for next round, to really, maybe send that around beforehand. So if there's questions that you can have kind of a little bit of a here's, the board's perspective on whatever's being voted on.
I
Is that
did.
possible? You did? Okay.
I did. I forwarded. I don't know if
Awesome.
it got to the full board, but I did forward we received like a blurb from the New Jersey
Right.
School Board Association telling us where the information is on the website. And I did forward that.
Okay.
Or
So
at
if-
least that's my recollection. If I didn't, I apologize. I didn't forward it to the full board because that's not what we're
course.
supposed to do, just to the board president and the vice
Yeah,
president.
and I don't remember forwarding it to all board members. Do you remember receiving that? No, right. That's why I don't. So I will look into it, and if it was on my end, I will make sure that it's rectified. Okay, thank you. Please remember to review the code of conduct that we will be re-signing or signing for 2021. It is in the shared drive for all board members, so review that. And I wanted to as well, encourage all of us to do some self-care. We've been in this job for a year, for this 2020, and it's been a rough year, as well as what Mr. Rigliano talked to all the educators. Please unplug and have some time for you. Okay, and we are moving to the second public comment. So the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves in school matters. To ensure fair and orderly expression of such comment, each statement shall be held to a time period of 3 minutes. Public comments limited to items on the agenda are accepted, as well as any other, and we shall be entertained for about 30 minutes. Upon the discretion of this presiding officer. Since this is a virtual meeting occurring during COVID-19 shutdown, public comment has been solicited through Google Form on the district website, but you can also raise your hand if you're a current attendee. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when providing comments. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students or employees. Please be advised that you are commenting at your own risk. Any public comments that are directed at a particular individual or individuals could subject you to legal liability for defamation. I just want to make sure if the attendees are interested in raising their hand, all they need to do is go to the bottom menu, and that option will be at the bottom, correct? Okay. I don't have that option. That's why I was asking. Okay.
Ms. Chrysalis, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Before we open public comment, I just want to clarify my last comment. I did email the board president and the vice president about the NJSBA delegate assembly, but my email was explaining that the link didn't work. So that's why you didn't forward it to the full board. The link didn't work. And then I didn't get a new link. So
thank you. Could you and you, I'm assuming, informed the NJSBA? And
I did,
perfect,
and you were CC'd on it, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I do see we have 5 attendees. Were there any comments, Mr. Minkowitz, in the Google Forms?
I see 2.
Okay, thank you. If you may read those first, please.
Okay, the first one is from Darren and Heather Carney, Hillside Avenue. At the last board meeting on November 17th, the superintendent announced that school could not open directly after winter break because there were 1,147 COVID cases in town. He also advised staff that they could not work every day in the building because of this high number. After that meeting, we contacted the health department and were told that, in fact, on November 18th, there were only 367 positive cases at that time. We were told by the health officer that 1,147 was the cumulative number since March, not the current number. He showed us how to read the report that the town makes public. According to the town, as of December 11th, there are 173 active cases in town, which is less than 1% of the population. Please stop misinforming the public and staff by inflating the numbers to make it scare people into thinking that COVID cases in town are worse than they actually are. This low number could not be a reason to close school at this time and never has been. We are asking tonight if the physical improvements that the district reported to the state back in August that were needed to be done to reopen school have been finally completed after all this time. We are assuming that the work is done as there have not been contractors working at the schools for several weeks. We would like to know how the members on this board can justify spending hours arguing about police officers in school, while at the same time they appear to be indifferent about getting the schools open. Why has not one board member even publicly questioned this? It has been almost a year. It is very frustrating as a parent to hear your misinformation and long list of excuses as to why the district is not prepared compared to every other district in this county. Dover is not that different. The choice to go back to school should be made by the individual parents. If you have no intention of putting the effort into opening schools this year, please let us know so we can try to explain your excuses to our seniors. That's it. I can read the next comment. It is from Susan Shower, 346 West Clinton Street. Excuse me, please, for my insistence. I do not mean to be argumentative, but in reference to the use of facility application from the Dover Health Department / Medline Diagnostic, November 28th. When was it voted on by the full board in public? The current policy number 7510 states any application should be approved by the Board of Ed. That's the end.
Thank you so much. Before we consider responding to them, are any of the 5 attendees interested in making a public comment at this time? Okay, I see no hands. Would anyone like to address the comments that were presented to the board?
I think that the comment about the policy has been addressed in our own board discussion tonight. So I think that answer probably has occurred naturally. And in regard to the numbers, certainly I didn't mean to confuse anyone in the way that I reported on numbers at the last board meeting. I did compare cumulative numbers, but I didn't mean to certainly imply that the cumulative number was the current number. So tonight, when I reported on last week's COVID cases, that's all I referred to. The 110 was the number that was reported for last week by the Dover Health Department. And so hopefully that provides a clear picture. I do believe that's a very high number. Just, you know, I don't mean in any way for this to be a defensive comment, but we recently received, and I shared with the board, an update from the county, which showed the opening and closing, mostly closing of schools throughout the county on an up and down basis. So again, everyone makes the best decision for their community. Our community has been hit and continues to be in the throes of a very high rate, and I believe we have to pay attention to that. So that's my response.
Thank you, Dr. McLaughlin. Are any other board members interested in making a comment at this time? Ms. Mullen?
I do want to say that Dr. McLaughlin has reached out and has asked for our personal opinions about our status of school opening, but ultimately it's your decision, the physician's decision, the health department's decision. You're in that decision-making role of assessing the information and then deciding whether the school should open or not. Is that my understanding? It's not our, raise our hand and take a vote. I mean, you pull all that data together to make the
Correct, Ms.
informed
Mullen.
decision.
That is not the role of the board, right? It's practice, right? That's implementation and running the district. We are a policy-making body. So yes, Dr. McLaughlin has asked us all.
And we're always open and giving our opinions to him. Yeah.
Correct, definitely. I believe I saw a hand. Yes, Ms. Royce.
Thank you, Ms. Chrysales. While we hired Dr. McLaughlin and would hire any superintendent to make decisions for the board, and while for the school district and our school community. And while we may not always agree with those decisions, I personally, in my own capacity, I don't speak for the full board, fully support this administration's decision regarding COVID-19. On my block alone, just up the street, we suffered the loss of a young father who has children in the district. And around the corner, another father who has children in the district. I could count 7 deaths in the area where I live. My work in the community brings me very close to young people that I either mentor or that I volunteer alongside with, who themselves have suffered illness or who themselves have suffered the loss of their loved ones. And am I happy? Are any of us happy with the current situation? Absolutely not. Would I want to watch soccer games and basketball games and plays in person, no matter how great the remote play was, and it was great? There's just no way that I could sleep at night thinking that we were risking the lives of our children, of their parents, of their grandparents, of their aunts and uncles and extended families, and of our teachers and their families, because we rushed and did not meticulously follow the recommendations of health professionals. So I support the decision and applaud Dr. McLaughlin and this board for the courage to make this difficult decision, a decision that clearly is controversial and should not be. The preservation of life has to be primary.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I think it's important, and I can speak for the full board, and I know that many of you have approached me regarding your feelings about opening or not opening in person. And I appreciate that everyone shares those feelings and thoughts and holds Dr. McLaughlin accountable for what we hired him for, right? And not only worrying about the protection of our students, even if it's one student that does not get infected. That is a huge accomplishment, and our staff as well, and our community as a whole. So I do support, and I have not spoken against in-person or remote education, because I believe that is the safest for our community at this time. So thank you, everyone. Without any other further comments, I would like to ask for a motion for this board to close this meeting at this time. Mr. Robles, are you making a motion? Mr. Robles, you have a comment?
I didn't know that was the last comment of the last comment, so I apologize.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
just want to
Robles.
publicly say I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and thank you all for your influence in my time here, your investment of time as well. I recognize, and I shared it with you via email, that this is not an easy task to hold the position that we all have held, and you, obviously, many of you for a lot longer than me. But I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I thank the administration specifically for this very challenging time when they have led the district to continue moving in the right direction, and I'm grateful for that. And yes, you will see me for a lot longer, because I am going to be a Dover resident, God willing, for a long time. But I'm looking forward to that as well, and growing my family here. And my daughter, who's an Academy Street student, is really enjoying her time, as challenging as it is remotely, but she's really grateful for the teacher and the teachers who are still delivering a phenomenal education in this virtual remote environment that we're in. But thank you once again, and I look forward to engaging with you all on my personal capacity and a parent capacity in the future. And I wish nothing but the best, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you as you take on the 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Robles, and thank you for your time. Yes. Okay, so now, Mr. Robles, would you like to make a motion?
I was going to motion to finish the meeting. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you so much. Are all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Closing at 8:31 p.m., Mr. Minkowitz. Thank you all. Have good holidays. If I don't see you, please take care of yourselves.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.